Hi, my name is Don Putnam. I'm a student at the American Public University. This is for my capstone class. I'll be presenting the topic Philosophy as a Major and a Way of Life, what to expect when majoring in philosophy, and then how to apply it to your life. The agenda I'll be covering today are three main questions. Why should I major in philosophy? What will I learn while taking my philosophy courses? And then how can I apply the things that I've studied while majoring in philosophy, both in terms of a career as well as applying philosophy in your life? So the first topic we'll get in today is why somebody should major in philosophy. There are four big ideas that I want to cover. The first one is really an existentialist idea, with the notion that we really don't have an instruction manual about how to live our best life. And in fact, a book I read by Grovel talks about this very idea. In this book, he says, quote, "Man is a free project," which is to say that there is no world historical source of instruction and no pellucid Godward imperative. In what concerns us most deeply, we are thrown back to our own decision. And so, one of the main ideas of existentialism and philosophy is to grapple with some of these big questions about what should you do with your life. So, in some, philosophy helps you gain an instruction manual. While there is no instruction manual that we're born with, philosophy is probably the closest substitute you'll get. The next one comes from Pincus and Fields, in which case philosophy talks about many of these world historical problems that humanity has been discussing for centuries. So, as you begin to understand and learn and discuss and talk about and write about some of these problems that humanity has been trying to grapple with for a very long time, your critical reasoning and creative reasoning skills are improved greatly. Many times, philosophy does not have the right answer, and so you're left to your own devices to come up with what you think is an appropriate response or an appropriate answer to a particular question that humanity has been trying to solve. Thirdly, the University of North Carolina notes that when you study philosophy, you're going to be exposed to a lot of new ideas, different perspectives. And as you're exposed to these new ideas, you exit that tribalism mindset as well as your biases. So, philosophy will give you a very world, universal, cosmic perspective on a lot of these ideas, and being exposed to new ideas then helps you live a better life. Also helps you become a better person in terms of working with different cultures and different people. Lastly, another reason why people should study philosophy is it's going to greatly improve your writing and verbal communication skills. You will write a lot of papers in philosophy, majoring in philosophy. You will have to organize your content. In some cases, like what I'm doing today, is present a lot of these ideas. It gives you, studying philosophy, it gives you an opportunity to practice and improve both your written and verbal communication. Besides these four main ideas about why somebody should major in philosophy, I also wanted to share another resource by Professor Jeffrey Kaplan, who teaches at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. In this video that he's uploaded to YouTube, he's got a longer version, I think that's 90 minutes long. This one is 30 minutes long. But he really goes and takes a deep dive and answers a question about why people should study philosophy, why they should major in philosophy, not only for the students who are taking his classes, but also to the parents who are paying for the tuition for their students as well. So in this video, he's outlined a number of ideas and skills that students will learn as they study philosophy. So if you have some time, 30 minutes or so, you can watch his video. I also encourage all of his other lecture series that are found on YouTube. He's a great resource in terms of explaining a lot of wonderful things about philosophy. To close out this section on why somebody should major in philosophy, I think it's useful to be reminded of what Socrates talked about when he mentioned the unexamined life isn't worth living for a human being. Ultimately, this is why people should be studying philosophy, according to Socrates, is that we really do need to examine our own way of living, understand why we do the things that we do. There are so many topics and areas that philosophy covers, and that are worth discussing and worth investigating. And when it comes to your own life, Socrates reminds us that an unexamined life really isn't worth living for a human being. So this is something else to consider in terms of why you should study and major in philosophy. So once you begin enrolling in philosophy classes, the next question becomes, what will you learn while taking those classes? There are a few subjects which may not be based on philosophy. They're just kind of more prep courses, and then you get into the deep philosophical courses, and then maybe even you take some ethics courses as well. So let me take each one of these ideas one by one. One class that you might take will be critical thinking or maybe even logic. And in these types of classes, you learn how to critically evaluate ideas and arguments. You also can also learn how to form your own thesis and arguments and ideas and then present that in a form of a paper. Another class that you might take is some type of research class. Again, you learn how to form your own thesis for this particular paper or project that you're working on, and then how to go conduct research on it and then present it in a clear and organized manner. So these types of classes are generally kind of prep courses for helping you get ready, because you will probably write a lot of papers and have a lot of presentations through the course of your philosophy major. Beyond that, you get into your typical philosophical philosophy classes, in which case you're talking about, writing about questions around the ideas of meaning, existence, God, free will, determinism, nature, motivation, the concept of time, how people gain knowledge in mind and body, these types of topics. Beyond that, you might have other different ideas and classes that are related to many of these philosophical questions. As you take many of these philosophy classes, you're also going to get a good history lesson, because many of these ideas are presented by different philosophers, and then subsequent philosophers come along, and they may build upon those original ideas, or they may refute them and come with their own ideas. The whole history of philosophy is nothing more than the sharing, expanding, argumentation of these various ideas. And so as you go through your philosophy classes, you're going to be exposed to history lessons as well. You may even have to learn some of the context around some of these ideas and how they were developed. Beyond that, the practical aspect of philosophy is really ethics. How do you take these ideas that have been created, discussed, and formed over centuries of human thought and then turn them into actionable policies within an organization, or even how to form and organize and govern as a society? And so all of this is covered under the topic of ethics. Lastly, you'll also have an opportunity to then take these historical ideas that have been discussed for many, many years and centuries, and then basically get them in essence of what are principles that can then be applied to more modern challenges and more modern problems. As an example, generative artificial intelligence. We've seen how this new technology has transformed many people's lives. This raises some fundamental philosophical questions. Does this AI have consciousness or not? Should we begin giving rights to artificial intelligence? Have we reached the singularity? Also, even such questions as, maybe science will push the boundaries on human mortality. What if, for example, in our lifetime, we figure out a way to help humans live for centuries or even forever? That type of question philosophy can begin to grapple with, because it has done so previously. And so studying philosophy will help you then tackle more modern challenges that society, as we continue to grow and evolve, can then inform us what's the best way to live and how do we work with many of these new challenges and questions and technology and so forth. So philosophy, as you take many of these classes, is going to teach you a lot of great ideas, history lessons, ethics, writing, thinking, critically thinking, and then applying those to not only management and government, but also potentially future challenges that we'll see as a society. So as you wrap up your philosophy major and earn your philosophy degree, the next question becomes, what will you do with that degree? How can you apply what you've studied? There are a number of careers that philosophy majors can go into with their degree. I've listed a number here on this slide. Some go into the law. You can earn a lot of money while being a lawyer based with your philosophy degree. Other people might go on to become a writer or an author. They might be writing for a newspaper or even writing books themselves and then selling those books. Many people also go into teaching post-secondary classes, or some people might even go into social and community services. And then there are a few people who are philosophy majors that then go on to become a pastor or work in the clergy. Another one that I've not listed here, but one that is personally applied to me that also many philosophy majors might also go into, which is psychology. For my own part, my plan is to finish my corporate career here in a number of years and then go on to study psychology, get a master's degree in psychology. The purpose of that then is to become a licensed professional counselor or even a therapist. And also this might go into the social and community services area, in which case you're helping people through life challenges. You might even work for a university, working with students, helping them, or even working at a hospital and helping many families grapple with some of the challenges of life. So not unlike what a clergy might be doing. The other thing that I found quite interesting in conducting research on this topic is what philosophy majors will actually earn. According to the University of North Carolina, philosophy majors enjoy the highest increase in salary from the starting median pay to their mid-career pay at over 103%. And then there is even this note that philosophy majors have a lifetime earning salary of over $600,000. So if you're looking for something that's lucrative, studying philosophy, which then acts as a springboard to go study something else in terms of law or a master's degree in some other vocation, it will only help you in those areas. Again, research indicates that philosophy majors do very well in terms of a career. Besides preparing you for a career and even a lucrative career at that, studying philosophy brings many other types of rewards to a person's life as they research and learn more about philosophy. One thing that I've personally found fascinating is this idea of philosophy as a way of life. Sharp and Ure from their 2021 book argued that with Pierre Hadot's research from the 1970s and him bringing to life these many ancient ideas of philosophy as a way of life, they've seen this resurgence of this motivation to study philosophy, which then turns into helping people live the best life that they can live. So to that point, there are many various philosophical exercises which have been noted by Sharp and Ure over centuries that have helped people to not only learn and to teach wisdom, but then instill within their lives these practices which then help them live the best life that they can. Sharp and Ure note that over the centuries, many of these philosophical spiritual exercises have come and gone, but they've waned through the years. And according to their research, they've seen this resurgence with Pierre Hadot's study from the 1970s about how many people are really beginning to go back to study philosophy with the intent of understanding and instilling within their own lives these philosophical exercises. In their book, they note many different types of spiritual exercises and philosophy, living it as a way of life. The second bullet point notes that. So let me just kind of read through that. You've got meditation, attention, contemplation, premeditation. Sometimes the Stoics might call this premeditatum malorum. The examination of conscience, reframing exercises. An example of a reframing exercise is Marcus Aurelius's view from above. There might be passion management, fortitude and training, counseling others. Of course, there's the dialogue, dialectic, inquiry exercise, reading and writing, which we've talked about previously on this presentation, rhetoric. All these are types of exercises that were once predominant in the philosophical discourse and the way people lived, but then waned over the years, or there really wasn't much of an emphasis on it. But now we're beginning to see this resurgence where people really are going back to study philosophy. not from an academic perspective and not so much to pursue it as a career, but more so how to help people learn and live the best life that they can. So all of that to say is that if you want to study philosophy, yes, you can do so, which will then translate into a wonderful career for you. But for me personally, why I have studied philosophy is really learning about all of those philosophical ideas to continue my education and then to help me learn to live the best philosophical life I can. So this is another reason why you should study philosophy and then learn how to apply it in your life. So as I wrap up my presentation today, I thought it would be fitting to share a quote that's been featured in Pierre Hadot's Philosophy as a Way of Life. He quotes Georges Friedman, who talks about spiritual exercises. And I think this quote really gets to the heart of what philosophy is all about. The whole dialogue, the whole conversation that humans have been trying to have is how to live the best life that they can and how do they inform themselves about how we interact and work with other people. And when it gets down to kind of practical exercises, practical ways of living, I think Georges Friedman gets to the heart of that with this particular quote. So as I read this quote, I would encourage you to think about ways and actions that you can take to begin living philosophy in your own life. Georges Friedman said, "Take flight every day, at least for a moment, which may be brief as long as it is intense. A spiritual exercise every day, either alone or in the company of someone who also wishes to better himself. Spiritual exercises. Step out of duration. Try to get rid of your own passions, vanities, and the itch for talk about your own name, which sometimes burns you like a chronic disease. Avoid backbiting. Get rid of pity and hatred. Love all free human beings. Become eternal by transcending yourself. This work on yourself is necessary, this ambition justified. Lots of people let themselves be wholly absorbed by militant politics and the preparation for social revolution. Rare, much more rare, are they who, in order to prepare for the revolution, are willing to make themselves worthy of it." And so, again, just to kind of review, I think this quote gets to the heart of what philosophy really is all about. Not only will philosophy, studying and majoring in philosophy, prepare you for a wonderful career, even a lucrative career, but at the same time, philosophy will prepare you to live the best life that you can, as well as inform you how to interact and work with other people. In summary, again, philosophy will teach you lots of different skills, critical thinking skills, logic, ethics, the history. You'll learn a lot of history lessons. You'll learn how to write well, how to communicate well. All of these skills will then enable you to live a successful life, both in terms of a career as well as in terms of living the best life that you can. So again, thank you for listening to my presentation today, and hope you have a good day and a good week, and I hope that you've learned something and you take steps to live philosophy as a way of life.